Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, Alan Vallely was recently appointed as the new general manager of the 5-star Druids Glen and Golf Resort. Owned by Neville Hotels, Druids Glen is an iconic hotel within the Irish hospitality industry, and now under the leadership of Alan Vallely, there are exciting growth plans ahead for the resort. Alan joins us now to share his vision for this well-renowned property. Alan, you've recently been appointed as the new general manager of the Druids Glen Resort, and this appointment follows a distinguished career in the hospitality industry. So what did you learn from working with the Four Seasons, Ashford Castle, Mount Juliet and the K Club?
I think you pick up different things from different places that you work. I've always made a conscious effort to stay within the type of hotels that I really enjoy working in. All of those hotels were 5-star hotels, and it's not to say that any are better than the other, but just the type of hotel that you work in obviously drives your passion for the industry. Every hotel teaches you something different. There's a range of properties there between city hotels and resorts. In the most recent phase of my career, I suppose I've concentrated on the resorts property, again, just because I feel that's one that I'm extremely passionate about.
So talk to us about your vision for the general manager role within Druids Glen.
Druids Glen has a great reputation already and has for many years. It's one of Ireland's favourite hotels. So I think to be able to be trusted by the Neville family to take over the day-to-day running and operation of the hotel is a privilege. The plans for the hotel are obviously to double down on our wonderful reputation and to obviously drive the financials of the business forward, the experience of all of our guests that come to Druids Glen. There's opportunity there for us to show progression as there is in any property, and that's really where our focus will be in the coming few years.
So when you look at Druids Glen's current performance within the luxury Irish hotel market, how can you strengthen its competitive position?
There's always room for expansion. I think our reputation precedes us. However, there's always opportunity to explore new markets, to attract more people from current markets that you're performing well in. And also our domestic market is very, very strong. The domestic market is possibly one of the most difficult markets to excel in. And we're blessed to have a huge number of domestic travellers that come to Druids Glen. So it's really about making sure that their experience helps us to grow our reputation. And as I said, there's opportunities internationally as well with the US market, the UK market, and plenty more besides.
As with all 5-star resorts, the guest experience, of course, is critical to its success. So do you have any innovative ideas for enhancing the guest stay at the hotel?
I think the most innovative thing that any hotel can do is to show consistency. Consistency is one of the hardest things to get right. So I think to ensure that our guest experience is consistent is really important for ownership and for ourselves. To show financial progression is very, very important. And then by managing our own reputation as well, I think innovation is wonderful when you get the opportunity to do it. However, if you focus on the pillars of consistency, progression and reputation, innovation will come from there.
Will you seek inspiration from international hotel groups when trying to develop new innovations for Druids Glen?
Yeah, I think so. As much as international hotels will probably seek inspiration from the Irish hotel market as well. There's guests in hotels are looking for a premium experience at all levels. And the experience in all levels of hotels has grown. So I think by looking outside to the international market, as well as by looking internally at what we do very well, and also what other hotels in Ireland do very, very well too, will always help us to build on what we're doing.
And as you say, Druids Glen has been able to attract huge numbers of domestic tourists, but how are you going to grow the international market?
The Neville family have invested 10 million euros into our golf course and reimagined that space, which was already performing very well and playing very well. But I think if we look to what we do very well and concentrate on that, there's a huge market of for example, US clientele that come into Ireland for golf experiences, and with the recent reimagining of the golf course, I think we've put ourselves in a super position to be able to welcome, but also to honour the expectations of guests coming to Druids Glen.
Like any other sector, of course, the hospitality sector itself is not immune from technological change. So how do you see this impacting the hotel in the years to come?
I think it will inevitably, hopefully, make what we do better and easier. It's important for any hotel or any business not to lose the human touch. But I think there are huge opportunities with guest recognition, with experiences in bedrooms, with spa experiences. I think there's untold potential in that side of the market. But I think any innovation, be it technological or otherwise, we'll really need to enhance the guest experience, because that's why people come to hotels. I know at the moment people come to hotels and it's heavily people based, and I think that will always remain, or at least the ethos of that will always remain. But I think technological advances will inevitably touch every part of our business and what we do on a day-to-day basis, even more than they currently do.
What's the average stay at Druids Glen, and is there an opportunity to extend that?
There is, yes. The more people that we get to stay that little bit longer, it gives us a better opportunity in many different ways. Our current length of stay is just below 2 nights. So we would love to become a base for people who are either playing golf, or people who are doing business locally, for people who are holding events at the hotel, and kind of push that average length of stay forwards. All the interactions and touch points are really important when you get a guest checking in at the hotel. The check-in experience, the check-out experience, if you can elongate that so you're doing it less often and holding people's interest while they're at the hotel for that bit longer, that's gonna help everybody.
And is there also an opportunity to be able to increase the frequency by which you see a guest?
There is, absolutely. We've a wonderful sales team and a wonderful sales strategy, whereby we speak regularly with local businesses, international businesses, DMCs, to try and get repeat business where we possibly can. And obviously the obligation is on us when we get the opportunity to do a piece of business and perform a piece of business, is to ensure that person will hopefully say same time next year will be a great time to come back, or even in the meantime if it's on a leisure stay. But yes, I think the engagement piece with local businesses, with the locality, with people who live on the resort, and people who are members of the golf club, and far beyond, every person that we meet, we are hoping that they will return and stay again and again, and on a more frequent basis.
And what are the challenges associated with managing a 5-star resort like Druids Glen that perhaps do not exist with a 3 or 4-star hotel?
I think the expectation in any hotel is great, but the expectation when you put yourself out there as one of Ireland's premium resorts holds you accountable to the experience that everybody has there. I think consistency, we mentioned it briefly before, is the most important thing that we can do. And if we get the world-class basics right, and if we perform within the basics, that gives us a chance to innovate and a chance to grow on what we do. But the first thing we need to do is be consistent, get the basics right, and that leaves space then for innovation.
Recruiting and retaining staff is a major challenge across all industries. How much of a challenge is it for you?
It has changed dramatically in the past few years. You know, one of 90% of our interview questions from candidates back to us is, where will I live? So I think we have a number of people who either live on site or we have found accommodation for. So I think we've become unwilling landlords to a point when we're trying to attract and retain staff. But I think that's part of the business going forward. You would like to see a huge amount of accommodation stock land in Ireland and in the area. However, until that happens, or whether it happens, I think we need to be able to try and help people with housing, try and help people with where they will live and where they will be based. Outside of that, I think the hospitality industry maybe has a bit of a difficult reputation in being one of those where it's long hours and low pay. And I think over the last few years that has dramatically changed, and the hospitality industry has had to kind of step up and show people that we are more than just a part-time job that people do in college until they get their real career. So there's a great career out there in the hospitality and hotel industry in general, and you know, Druids Glen is one of the resorts that really banging that drum to try and make a job in the hospitality industry and the hotel industry one that is seen as a career.
And Alan, talk to us about your approach to management and leadership.
I think being a manager and being a general manager, you are part of the team. You're there to lead the team. You're there to steer the ship, and the great people that you have that work with you and work within the business need to be trusted and can be relied upon to provide you with either great ideas or a great operation. But I think my role at Druids Glen is certainly to steer the ship and to maximise the output and the efficiency of everybody who's working there, by being able to trust them and lead them, give them good ideas, and act upon their good ideas too.
How important are online reviews on Trustpilot and Google reviews and others?
Very important. You know yourself, sometimes everybody looks at the ones that maybe aren't as favourable as others, and that can be difficult. It tends to be that the person who had the best time in the world leaves a review, and the person who maybe didn't have as good a time leaves a review. And everybody in the middle maybe just thinks that was a lovely stay. So it's really about bridging the gap between the best and the worst, and trying to make sure that we're acting on what may have been the worst and driving home the best.
As you look to the future, how will Druids Glen change over the next 5 years?
I think slowly but surely. I think that's the safest way to do it. We're looking to build on an already excellent reputation. We're looking to be able to welcome as many people to the resort as we possibly can. We're looking to break into new markets. As I said, new markets for us, maybe the US. There's already a good number of US travellers coming into the country, and we're looking forward to maybe being able to get our fair share of those with the enhancements made to the golf course and to the resort and our reputation.
With an impending election coming up, what would you like to see the next government put in place to support the hospitality sector, including hotels?
Yeah, I think when you read the news and you see that over 600 restaurant businesses have closed this year alone, it's an average of 2 per day. I think the industry is not necessarily asking for a concession, but it's really seeking an understanding, cooperation and collaboration with the government. The industry's challenges will not be resolved with the likes of energy grants alone, when all cost centres of the business that we're in are trending upwards. So I think while we can't ask for the concession that a number of other businesses don't get, I think collaboration and cooperation will be very, very valuable, so that the government can really understand the position that a number of hospitality businesses are in.
And of course, the hospitality sector operates as an ecosystem, with hotels supporting restaurants and restaurants supporting hotels. How impactful is it when you have restaurants closing in an area close to Druids Glen?
It's really impactful. So we have a great relationship with restaurants, pubs, bars in the local area, and if we were to get into a situation where a number of those cannot, remain sustainable, that has a knock-on effect for our guests. It has a knock-on effect for our employees. It has a knock-on effect for everybody. But business owners are definitely struggling at the moment with cost increases on raw materials, and it will become an issue if it's not addressed in some way, and it will certainly have an effect on everybody, including support businesses around the area.
And Alan, finally, for anyone listening to this morning's show that's considering a career in hospitality and maybe has the ambition at some stage to be leading a luxury 5-star resort like you are, what advice have you got for them this morning?
It's a very, very rewarding career. It's a people-based industry. It's also a great industry to start out in. There's a number of people that I've worked with before who have passed through the industry, but will always look back on their time in the hospitality industry as maybe one of the most formative experiences in their careers. But I think if you see a long-term vision in the hospitality industry for yourself and wish to become a general manager or a manager in any facet of the business, I think it's important to come up the right way, to explore every area of the business that you think you might like. And if you foresee an opportunity to manage a business, you really need to make sure that you've maybe passed through all areas of the business in advance of taking the keys.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Alan Vallely, the new General Manager of Druids Glen Hotel and Golf Resort, and I'd like to wish Alan every success in his new role.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.